Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Sometimes the baseball world doesn't knock politely before entering the room. Sometimes it kicks the door clean off its hinges, stands there smiling, and dares you to react. That's exactly what's just happened in Toronto, because the Blue Jays have found themselves staring down a storyline that almost no one saw coming, and at the center of it all stands Bichette, wearing uncertainty like a shadow that refuses to leave his side. Reports have dropped, emotions have flared, and suddenly the future feels both thrilling and terrifying at the same time. If that already has your pulse racing, make sure you like the video, share it with a fellow Jays fan, and subscribe to the Blue Jays Report, because this one twists and turns right until the very end. We are just days away from the winter meetings, that annual gathering where rumors become reality and silence becomes noise, and the timing of this could not be more dramatic. Every team is sharpening its pitch, every executive is checking their phone a little more often, and the Blue Jays are no exception. But what nobody expected was a report that dragged an old rival back into the conversation, breathing life into a scenario Jays fans would rather not imagine. Late last night, a report surfaced suggesting that the Boston Red Sox are considering Bichette as a potential alternative if they fail to re-sign Alex Bregman. That sentence alone feels like a punch to the stomach. Not just because it involves Bo, but because it involves Boston. According to Will Salmon and Ken Rosenthal, two of the most trusted voices in the sport, this isn't idle chatter. This is genuine internal discussion. And suddenly, a player many fans still instinctively associate with Toronto feels uncomfortably close to wearing enemy colors. The details only add to the intrigue. Rosenthal noted that while Bregman remains Boston's priority, some within the organization see Bichette as an intriguing alternative. Despite defensive metrics that critics love to point at, teams around the league still view Bo as a viable shortstop, or at the very least a premium but versatile enough to build around. The Red Sox, already exploring names like Pete Alonso and Kyle Schwarber, appear to be casting a wide net, and Bichette's name is now firmly caught in it. Let's be honest for a moment. Bo in Boston feels wrong. It feels like watching a familiar landmark disappear from the skyline. Even fans who have argued that Kyle Tucker might be the better long-term target still shudder at the idea of Bichette lining doubles off the Green Monster against Toronto. Rivalries aren't just built on geography. They're built on faces, memories, and grudges, and Bo has been part of the Blue Jays' identity for too long to imagine him comfortably anywhere else. From Boston's perspective, though, the logic is chillingly sound. Trevor Story can stay at shortstop. Marcelo Meyer, one of their prized prospects, can man third base. Bichette slides into second, or becomes the offensive centerpiece wherever needed. It's flexible. It's dangerous. And that's precisely why this report landed with such force. But just when the anxiety threatens to spiral, the story pivots, because not all the news surrounding Bichette is bleak. In fact, some of it is quietly encouraging. Keegan Matheson recently laid out a deeper look at Bichette's situation, and his reporting paints a far more grounded picture of where things stand. Bo has been consistent in his message from the very beginning. He wants to be in Toronto. He's said it publicly. He's said it privately. He said it hours after the season ended, when emotions were raw and honesty tends to slip through the cracks. That doesn't mean sentimentality will decide this. Matheson was clear about one thing: hometown discounts are largely a myth at this level. Money talks, and it almost always wins. For a player like Bichette, entering his age 27 season, deals in the range of 8 years and around $200 million are very much in play. That's not charity. That's market reality. And while some fans may hope loyalty bridges the gap, the numbers still have to make sense. Here's where things start to feel more reassuring for Jays fans. John Heyman, deeply connected and rarely careless with his words anymore, has suggested that while Bichette's market hasn't fully ignited, a return to Toronto makes the most sense. Jeff Parsan echoed a similar sentiment earlier, calling Toronto the most obvious outcome, even while noting that Bo's willingness to move off shortstop could open doors elsewhere and drive up interest. Taken together, these reports form an interesting pattern. Yes, there is outside interest. Yes, Boston lurking in the background is unsettling. But the gravitational pull between Bichette and Toronto still feels strong. The Blue Jays are not chasing from behind here. They are very much in the race, possibly even leading it, quietly confident while chaos swirls around them. What makes this even more fascinating is how Bo's situation now intersects with another, much louder storyline. Kyle Tucker. For weeks, many assumed the Jays' primary focus would be Bichette, the familiar star, the homegrown face. But as reports around Tucker intensify, it's becoming clear that Toronto may be thinking even bigger. And if you can't land both, choices have to be made. Ben Nicholson-Smith has suggested that signing both Tucker and Bichette is unlikely, forcing the front office into a delicate balancing act. Do you double down on continuity, or do you swing for the fences with a generational bat? That question alone could define the next decade of Blue Jays baseball. And here's where the timing of the Boston report becomes interesting. Pressure is a currency in free agency. If rival teams sense Toronto is pivoting hard towards Kyle Tucker, it wouldn't be surprising to see Bichette's market suddenly get louder. A little noise here, a little speculation there, and suddenly the Blue Jays are forced to confront uncomfortable possibilities sooner rather than later. Jeff Parsan has already hinted that Tucker's saga could stretch into the new year, dragging tension along with it. That leaves Toronto juggling multiple timelines, multiple priorities, and multiple emotional fault lines, all while trying to keep their long-term vision intact. Meanwhile, the rest of the roster continues to take shape. The Blue Jays have already invested heavily in pitching, and reports suggest they're still active in the reliever market. Mitch Bannon of The Athletic recently outlined a scenario where bringing back Bichette is the cleanest way to cap off a busy and impressive off-season. His projection of an 8-year, $212 million deal feels realistic, not reckless, and it would allow Toronto to stabilize the infield while addressing bullpen needs on more modest terms. That hypothetical off-season raises an important question for fans. If the Jays bring back Bo, add a solid reliever like Tyler Kinley, and pair that with the pitching additions already made, is that enough? It's not flashy. It's not headline-grabbing. But it's strong. It's sensible. And it keeps the payroll just under the highest competitive balance tax threshold, a line only the Dodgers and Mets crossed last year. Of course, expectations have changed. This front office has spoiled fans by acting boldly, by refusing to sit still. A B+ or A- off-season might have felt outstanding a few years ago. Now, with the stakes this high, it almost feels like a stepping stone rather than a destination. And that's the beauty and the burden of where the Blue Jays find themselves. They are close enough to greatness that every decision feels monumental. Lose Bo to a rival like Boston, and the emotional fallout alone would sting for years. Land Kyle Tucker, and the narrative flips instantly. Bring back Bichette and add one more key piece, and suddenly stability becomes strength. As the winter meetings approach, one thing is clear. The Blue Jays are not drifting. They are steering, sometimes aggressively, sometimes cautiously, but always with intent. Bo Bichette's future may feel uncertain right now, but uncertainty is often the price of ambition. So stay locked in. Like the video if this breakdown helped steady the nerves. Share it with someone who's already imagining worst-case scenarios. And subscribe to the Blue Jays Report, because whether this ends with relief, celebration, or one final twist of the knife, you'll want to experience it together. In baseball, as in life, the most unforgettable stories are the ones that keep you guessing right until the very last moment.